Hey guys, and welcome back. So last time we talked, we were looking at some of the technological innovations in navigation, not only to know where you are, but to help plot an accurate way to get to where you want to go, right? And so we talked about using both the North Star and different constellations and technologies such as the astrolabe, the cross staff, and the sextant. But that still leaves another issue. How do you get to the places that you want to go to? Okay, so for today, we're going to look at one specific technology that was a game changer when it came to maritime or oceanic exploration and travel, and that is the triangle sail. So to start off, I want to look at some of the issues in the regions that we've already talked about, right? So here's the Indian Ocean over here, and we've got prevailing winds that actually will push. Well, we got the monsoons, right? But you've got winds that will push back and forth through the Indian Ocean. So if you're using a traditional sail rigging, that means that the wind will push you and your boat. So if I want to head towards India, I either have to kind of loop around and hit the prevailing wind, or I have to ride a monsoon, and I only have about half a year to do that. But what happens if I really need to travel the other direction? What happens if a storm comes up and I'm being pushed, against a reef or a shallow spot? Well, what then? So the triangle sail became a great technology because it allowed sailors to tack into the wind. So instead of sailing with the wind, you could actually sail into or against the wind. So I'm going to show you more on how this works in a quick, deeper dive. Okay, so to make this as simple as possible and as quick as possible, I thought I'd use an analogy. So here is the wing cross section of an airplane. Okay, and so if we're flying our plane and we're traveling, we have the wind, the air flowing against our wing. Okay, underneath this wing, that airstream remains largely unbroken, right? So this wind or air moves slowly and in a pretty compact manner across the bottom of that wing. However, across the top of that wing, right, because of the shape of the wing, when the air hits it, it forces our air to move up and, in essence, disperse in its flow, right? It breaks up the molecules of air as it comes over that wing. In doing that, what it does is it, in essence, speeds up the air, but it also moves it in different directions. That opening of the molecules of air as it comes over that wing creates a low pressure, right? So this is low, which means that underneath the wing, where the air is compact and flowing in a nice unbroken manner, you've got higher pressure, right? So you've got high pressure below the wing. Well, that's a P. So we've got high pressure. Well, think about it, right? If you got high pressure, I'm going to use a lot of pressure here, and I'm going to use light pressure, low pressure here, and I push, right? It doesn't take a lot. I'm going to move that up. That's how you create lift, right? That's the principle that allows an airplane to fly, right? High pressure pushes up against the low pressure. It moves it into that void of pressure, and that is lift. Okay, I know what you're thinking, though. We're not talking about airplanes. We're talking about ships. So what's the point? All right, well, let's look at it. So here's our sailboat using a triangle sail, a triangular lateen sail. So let's go for it. If you look at this sail, in essence, it forms the same shape as an airplane's wing, right? So we've got a bowed side and a flat side. So again, we've got the wind or the air flowing in from the bow of the vessel. This is the bowed side and this is the flat side. So on the flat side, air will continue to largely move unbroken, slowly. Oh, that's a terrible line, right? Across this side of the vessel. But on the other side, what that sail is ultimately going to do then is serve as the hump of that airplane wing. And so now the air is being broken up and moved into chunks. It increases the speed, and it also then spreads out the air molecules as it comes across that side. in essence, creating low pressure. And on this side of the boat, over here on the starboard side, we have higher pressure. Okay. And so what will happen in the higher pressure, it will push the ship, right, against it. And so ultimately, what you're doing is you're having the ship move this way. So if you position the sail in one direction, and let's say you were to rotate this boat, so instead of facing straight up and down the boat, we're aiming more in a direction like this. You know, if the boat was aiming this way, but the sail maintained here, literally it would take that ship, turn it, and it would just push it straight forward. So that's what they call tacking, right? You could tack at about a 25 to 45 degree angle and kind of saw your way through the wind. Okay, but what happens if you saw too far in one direction? You bust out your sextant or your cross staff, and that night you figure out, oh, we're a little bit too far south. Well, you tack harder the other direction and overcompensate towards the north. And so this allows people to sail into the wind. All right, so 2 points to this. One, how effective actually are sails then at sailing into the wind? I mean, are we talking like a small 5 knots, 10 knots, clawing your way into the wind? And so I have a little video clip that shows the world sailing record, which I think will show you quite effectively how impressive it is to sail against the wind, especially if you have the right system and the right equipment to do this. It requires a strong keel, the part underneath your boat, because you got to transfer all that wind energy under your boat to lift the ship. So again, to create really that wing effect. You need a strong rudder system. So this is where cultural diffusion is important. Without Chinese sternpost rudders being transported into the Indian Ocean, and then because of Arab merchants making it to Europe, right, we wouldn't be able to do this. You need a strong rudder so that it doesn't, fluctuate with the turning of the ship. It's got to hold firm so that we can really use that wind to swing the boat around and into the wind with enough power. So let's watch this clip here. I'm going to skip around just a little bit so that you can see this. All right, so here is the World Sailing Championship. So he kicks it into gear here. There's no motor on this thing.
Big chop. So rudders up. Wings eased. Getting into the course. Rough water.
You can see how windy it is. If you look at the waves are breaking and the wind is pushing the spray of that wave out to sea, right? So the wind is blowing hard out to sea. And look at the boat. He's coming right into that wind. Look at his sail. Look at how his sail's designed, right? We've got the bowed side out. So that's creating the low pressure, the straight side into the wind here. So that's the high pressure. And so in essence, what's happening is it's pushing that boat towards the sand and kind of down the coast right at the camera, right? It's going to angle it that way.
Rough water. Okay, getting into the flat stuff. Rough water. Rough water. Rough water.
So look at that thing go. So this thing sails at about 85 miles per hour with no motor, no engine, nothing to help guide it. It's literally just traveling using the speed of the wind and converting that energy into lift, which is pushing it forward into the wind. Now, the second point, why is that important? Travel in the Indian Ocean would not be possible without that triangle sail, right? You'd be stuck at the mercy of monsoon weather systems. If you're an explorer leaving Europe and you're trying to make it to the Indian Ocean, or you're trying to make it to the luxury markets of India and China, right, you've got to go into the prevailing winds at some point. To get around the Cape of Good Hope, you've got to go smack bang right into the prevailing wind. You'd never be able to do it without a triangle sail. For explorers leaving Europe to try to get to the New World, right, you're going to have to eventually sail into the prevailing winds. You'd never be able to do it without the triangle sail, right? So it allows all explorers at this critical ability, one, not just for the safety of, in a short-term moment, saving the vessel, but over sustained travel, being able to sail against the wind. The triangle sail, brought to Europe through Arab and Islamic merchants who received that technology partially from the Romans and also partially from sailors in the Indian Ocean trade network. That's how trade makes the world better. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.